following is a presentation of MRE Uno, Division 1. Wait, it says you're streaming. You don't worry.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here as we get ready to continue on the Tire 32 round in the Spider region for Automotive April in the 2025 MRE Uno Tournament T2. As here this afternoon, we are getting set for Cesar versus Background. Both of these individuals with very interesting scenarios when they were back in the Suspension 64. Cesar utilizing what I've kind of dubbed the Cesar jab, hitting M from multiple angles. So you look to utilize that here today against Background, who took down one of the titans of the tournament, Bad Brad, who wasn't able to find anything. Background playing an incredible series, able to topple him, and these two now face off to see who is going to be moving on to face Monkey in the round of 16. Only stream game we've got here this afternoon, so we don't have a schedule for you. We'll move over here to the bracket, and as mentioned, you can see that the winner of this matchup going to be facing off against Monkey, who was able to take a 4-2 over Toaster Guy. Monkey waiting in the wings to see who he's going to be facing off in this battle this afternoon. Looks like maybe the theme of this one's going to really come down to patience. Both of these individuals, Cesar and Background, utilize patience in their matchups, and they may have to call upon that once again here to see who's going to be moving on to the next round. We'll head on down here to the table. I'm Seth Cole, KT, Sean Arndt along with me here. It definitely seems like, you mentioned it here, KT, as we start to get closer and closer towards the Final Four, eventually the championship here in the tournament, we start to get an idea of, just how these individuals have to, in a sense, adapt a little bit to who they're facing off against, but at the same time, they got to stay true to who they are. Have to make sure that they minimize the mistakes. That seems to be the biggest running thing that we've talked about, especially here in this round of 32, because we go back to the round of 64, the Suspension 64, a lot of the favorites going in that were the higher seeds, they ended up moving on. We've had a lot of upsets here in the round of 32, so when we look at this situation here, obviously the 11 seed Background, the underdog in terms of the seeding. What is the thing do you think might be a difference maker for Background to be able to topple somebody that's got an incredible resume like Cesar? And on the flip side, what does Cesar got to do to be able to, in a sense, really affect the rookie class battle here in this Automotive April?
Cesar knows what he's got to do. It's all about those top tier wins. We've always talked about that with him. When you talk about the Cesar jab step, it's working. It worked definitely against them. This is a different player. Background is a player that has that patience game, knows how to use that run-drawn style, and in the past, Cesar struggled with that with Arya. This is a little bit different scenario, though. We saw that 48-minute game you alluded to when you saw that Brad versus Background game 2, right? That took almost 80 minutes, as I put in the pregame intro. It'll be an interesting game. I think for Cesar, it's about just doing what he's normally been doing the last, 3 years he's been here, right? Use some of that magic he's always been known for in terms of that 1-2 jab and the patience and just not making mistakes in round 1-2 in general. For Background, it's a little bit more of a pressure situation. It's more of if we're playing a game of good old HORSC Little Horse, bang, gone. He makes the shots, right? He's on the good old HORS, and they're both on HORS. He gets the shot in now. Background's got a match, or it's going to be gone taking the rookie class title, which is crazy to think about that we're only 2 rounds in. That's already a discussion, but that's just how the tournament goes sometimes. So it should be interesting. Pressure's on for both. I guess, Seth, you can take background. I'll take Cesar. But before we get to that, we'll go to Art. Art, what are you expecting here today? Obviously, Cesar's a known veteran now, master in his ranks, and background a rookie. You may not know much about background, but you know for sure a lot about Cesar. What are you expecting? Any element of surprises? Any keys we got to look forward as we get to the table today?
Well, I gotta throw back to when Caesar played that last round. Instead, sort of said it there at the beginning of this, how Caesar pulled out the stops in all different directions here. But you gotta go into the unknowing on how Caesar can play against background character, because background actually has been doing pretty good. Been playing really interesting strategies that might have another one pulled in to go after Caesar. But if Caesar plays how he's been doing, this one could be a interesting one.
I appreciate those words, Art, and we'll go to good old Jay Cesar, the home team, and then we'll have Seth throw a question to background. Cesar, obviously, it's always the theatrics, right, with you. Usually you and myself, we're always the guys, of course, having the most availability. We always play at the end of the round, at least in these first 2 rounds. But today's a little bit different because you're playing someone in a sense that has a lot of momentum on your side, and you also are a guy that really thrives on just mistake-free in the first 2 rounds. What have you been able to study in background's game that you got on a notepad to make sure you expose in these early games because you'll have the home table? Just a simple question to throw at you as Cesar types that out. We'll go over to Seth for a question for background.
Yeah, background, kind of a twofold question. The first one being that this match actually does have a lot of gravitas in the situation of you're battling for the rookie class battle here against Gone. You move on, it makes a clear case for you to maybe be able to take it here in Automotive April. So do you let that be in the back of your mind at all during your play here, or do you kind of have that as a little bit of an afterthought, try and not have that give you any added pressure in this matchup? And secondly, KT brought up the fact that you had that 80-minute match against Brad. You went toe-to-toe in a super long matchup with one of the best in the business. We know that the resume of Cesar, that he's been in those type of scenarios before. As a rookie, how important was it for you to be in a matchup that long if we end up having something similar like that in any of the matchups, in any of the games here in this series?
Well, as you wait for those answers here from both players, I think today the X factor is going to be no mistakes from both. I think that's going to be one of the X factors, Seth. Usually at the end of the round too. It's nice to play at the end of the round in the sense that you know what you got to do in front of you. You basically let everyone else take their shot first, and it's legit. You guys are the last ones to the plate. That's always nice, but there's also an added pressure where you usually get those last game jitters where you know it's now or nothing, now or never, now or nothing, whatever you like to call it. I think another thing, too, to keep in mind, it's a small thing with power play. Background, a player who's really learned the power play very well in this league from D2 to D1. Great step up. And, I mean, Jay has been, seems like the father of one of the power play inventors. He's been here so many times tested on this bout with the power play, seen a thing or two. I think that'll be an interesting point to keep in mind. Winner will get Monkey. That's a little interesting, I think. I think that adds a little extra layer since Toasty's gone. So Cesar, in this crazy spider region where you won, Ed won, and Monkey, if Cesar doesn't win this game, it's hard to believe to say, but Monkey would control the region. So that also throws a little bit more of an extra spicy twist to this region. We'll see, Seth. You saw last night. We were shell-shocked those first 3 games where nothing was going in any direction of Ashley, and all of a sudden, a little bit of a game 5, just a little misplay. But it can turn on a dime, and that's the beauty of this game for sure.
Yeah, and I think like the running theme here, especially in this round of 32, you mentioned about no mistakes. It's control what you can control, right? And we've seen so many matchups so far here in this round where there's been no mistakes on either side. They've been able to control what they can control. It's the uncontrollable factor with the bot meta that has really been the difference maker in a lot of these matchups and a lot of upsets that we've seen here so far.
Absolutely, and he says, just peep the profile. He's locked in. Who is that, Cesar? Is that Shuby? Let me know. Is that? I was gonna say, what anyway? Okay, gotcha. Guys, stay true to my notebook as always. Background is dangerous player when he's not in the pressure cooker. I need to be careful with that. Like I've been saying, this could be a war page Nuno, 100%. And then you want to read that comment set for background? Go ahead.
Background says, for the rookie class with gone, not really a concern, to be honest. Getting wins is more important and goes hand in hand. And that's a great point. That's a great way. I mean, we're the statistic guys. We're watching this, so we have to talk about it. But don't let that bother him. Feel like Brad played smarter compared to him. Game 2 is really the crescendo about it. Got better cards, nothing. Just making no mistakes is his main goal, and yeah, that's basically the main key right there at KT. Just don't make the mistakes, and hope that the bot meta works in your favor, and potentially be able to move on to that final round, or not the final round, but the next round of 16. So I think that both of them just kind of basically touched on the main 2 points that we had coming in here, and that we're going to be following during the course of this matchup, and that is minimize mistakes and just be patient.
That's all you can ask for, man. And I think they both know it. For background, at the end of the day, what's more important, right? A rookie class title or the wins that go hand in hand? It's the wins, right? If you get it, great. If not, the end of the goal at the end of the day is getting to that Final Four and making big runs in Super League eventually. Rookie class is great, but it's not everything. We just have to talk about it, of course, as you said, as the stats guys and the broadcast team. I think we're ready to get down to business, Seth. Let's go to game 1, and I'll take it here with Jay Cesar. Jay, I'll let you do the background starts. That's how we always do it here on the KT Set Show. Jay, you know the drill, buddy. So many times we've been in this situation. You're at home. It's game 1. Well, we pop it early. What do we got, my friend? Now I'm the ref. As we wait for Jay Cesar to make that call, reminder to the fans at home, it's 2-2, 1-1-1, trips 1, double deuce, and of course the final best of 7 in the round for now.
It's also the next to last game to determine who's moving on to the round of 16. Game's still up in the air right now, just with a little bit of scheduling. KT and Abion. That'll be the last matchup, and we'll know all of our Sweet 16 here in the Automotive April. Starting it out with 10.
I like it. A little mid-tier to go. And we're going to get underway with a Grim 7. Well, perfect timing, right? We just fixed the bot, so... And we'll go real quick with the heat check guard. I mean, heat check, really, you think about this game here, these two are veterans. Do you think there's going to be one, as the stats guy today, you can check the card history, there's going to be one factor maybe in terms of a +4 or a +2 that could stand out? What do we got on that? What do you think?
I would think so, because really, if this game can go as long as what it was for a background character when he was facing Brad, this could be one of those sorts of things that maybe seeing that card history, seeing who has what has been played, it's going to be very interesting to keep on track of all that.
We'll see right now. Early, just run it clean there, Seth. Started off pretty clean.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see here as well, because another thing that we've seen here in this round of 32 is, individuals be able to get out to a 2-game, a 3-game lead, and then the person that's down able to draw back. It's going to be interesting to see here what kind of a tone is set. Who wants to get that first game under their belt, kind of have a little bit of the momentum shift, because we've seen a lot of back and forth here, especially in this round.
Well, there's the switch. There we go. First one in the red. That's the first little bit of a little clue, maybe. We'll see how that one goes. See how background responds for sure. And what do you think about that early switch that we saw last night with Ashley?
I like the early switch, if I'm perfectly honest, and it seems to be a Cesar staple. When he was facing off against M back in Suspension 64, early on he seemed to be the one that would always initialize that color swap. So I like it. He's sticking with what he knows. He said basically just continuing to run with his playbook, and it's exactly what he did back in the last round. He's doing it here in this round. We also ended up seeing, though, there was some really good light switches between Background and Brad in their matchup as well. And I don't know, that was the first match that I've actually seen with Background. I don't know if that's a normal staple of his, or if he was kind of answering back to whatever Brad threw at him, but might be something he'll call upon here as well. As, how about that little quad play from Background, swapping it over to the red.
Oh, great move by Cesar.
Oh!
That's the icer.
Yes, it is.
The old classic, right? Wait for them to burn a little bit, cook a little bit, and then boom. will hit you with that wow. Let's see if it's a real though. Let's see if it's a real classic or he can run.
It's
It's
so
a real.
funny too, the meta that we've seen here in this tournament. I saw it as well a bit back in T1 as well. Is the normal wilds are used as a defensive ice play, whereas the +4s they're utilized as the offensive play. It's interesting how the wilds take on two entirely different aspects of play in terms of the offensive defensive side.
Oh, that's a top decker right there. Has to be. Has to be a top decker right there into the red. Background on Shaq. Yeah, I don't think Cesar could do much on the threes. Very good top deck right there. Let's see if.
Let's see what Cesar might have gotten on a top deck potentially here.
Yeah, very hard to switch out of a zero unless he's got the green zero as the hooker. So let's see. I think gonna have to be something magical. There's the +4.
There it is.
Got it. Little top deck
him
back.
Back takes possession. Gets to the color he wants.
Oh boy.
Oh, there's the pun. We saw the pun numerous times back in the background Brad game.
Yeah, he does this a lot. It's one of his registered trademarks. The old background before I lose is well. Look at that set. He could. Who knows? He could have went to a blue zero sugar.
Yeah,
so
interesting.
Jay
then
looking
again, too,
for check,
let's say that maybe background may have had a +4 as well. Maybe Cesar didn't want to run the risk of just doing a color swap. He wanted to make sure he drew him back away from Uno.
There's the check. Jay to check, and now background with the chance to respond. Nothing. Jay for the win.
Out.
No.
No
double
finish
ice.
from Cesar.
Okay. Now it's top deck city, Seth. We all know this too well. That's the meta now. Nope.
Oh,
there we go.
Deck there.
Good move. You know what? Good move.
Oh, background also had a top deck.
Good move there, Seth. You know why? Because the threes had been prominent earlier in the game. You never know with those threes, and that's a crazy switch. Oh, man, risky.
Did that open the door for Cesar? Was that the color he needed?
Jay looking for a win right here. Does he get a little green magic off a bad color switch? Let's find out. There's a check. Oh, he's got the top deck.
He's got the top deck +4. Was that twice he top decked a +4?
It has to be. There's no way. He wouldn't be saying how if it was. See, your top deck +4 twice in what, 4 turns? Is that what we're looking at? 3 out of 4 turns? If you did that B0 instead of the plus, yeah.
Wow.
So if you had just done the regular B, as what I was saying, you do that B0 instead of the +4, then things are a little bit different. Wow. I ask a question in the background here, Seth. I'm gonna analyze what Cesar did here coming up.
Yeah, background. Great job on the number efficiency there. The ammo usage as well to be able to get yourself down there to those 2 cards. You mentioned there about if you played that blue zero, you had the finish there. I mean, it came down to the top deck. We talked about not making mistakes. Certainly didn't look like you made any mistakes in that one there, so certainly nothing to be ashamed of on the losing end of this one. But if I have to ask you a question, I got to go back to that one point there where you ended up making the choice to swap over with your ammo to, I believe it was to the red. What was the thought press in that one with using the ammo at that point in time? Was there anything you could have done to utilize going over to blue any sooner, try and drain out that color, and then try and go over to either, I believe it was the red or the green where you had the ammunition?
And I'll go to Cesar. Cesar, I think, yeah, we always talk about the 1-2 jab, sure. But that patented wild save, man, let me tell you, that's been in your playbook since the day I met you. Talk to me about how you let background use a little bit of his reverse skip meta to run early. And did you just feel it was an instinctual play to wait for that wild, considering you had not seen a wild? And a little bit of the early switching. Was that fortuitous as well to use a little of that early switching? It's a game one, feel it out. Maybe make a little bit of a fake play right there in a sense. Going from that early yellow to green. Be a little bit aggressive as well. So yeah, nothing really. So
yeah, he said no other paths. So fair enough. But, you know, we mentioned it. It played out right here in game one. You could go back, KT, you could dissect this entire thing, and I don't think you can find any mistakes on either side. They played mistake-free, and it just came down to the luck of the draw.
Yeah, it's look, man, how many times have we seen a top deck +4 in this league where It came at the right time, and it's almost becoming natural, right? Because you think, oh, in the past, it sucks. But you look at it, it's hard to really say it one way or the other. If Cesar doesn't play that first +4, we're talking background 1-0, right? And that's a whole different scenario. Then he's like, I left the +4 in a dot. I think players are starting to really use this theory of, hey, I can't take these things with me. Use all my resources when I can. And I think that's making the games better, man. I really do. I think everyone is starting to realize you can't take a +2, a +4, a regular wild, or even a reverse switch at home. Use all the resources, and if you don't win the game, you at least play to the maximum, and you can learn from a bigger notebook. I think that's how you got to do on this. But the old bot, you probably couldn't do that. You probably tried to, you could probably try to use all your resources, but if someone's got the 2 +4s, 99.9, you're getting none, right? That's it. This case, Cesar had 2 +4s, but one of them was top deck, and hell, background got the check, and that's all you can do. Put them in a compromised spot to use stuff. It's definitely becoming more psychology-based, especially as we get later into the rounds and the mistakes go lower. Sometimes you need a little bit of top deck Kevin to bail you out on one. Had the wild one from the start, so I did the switch to greens too. BC got into greens. Then if I could switch back to yellow, but then he threw the reverse skip meta. I threw that wild back to green. I knew background was fresh out of them greens, and it's a classic little bit of a back end wild save. A G +2. Okay, so that G +2 background would have been okay after that green 8, maybe to start cooking something after that green 8. I'm gonna have to assume if he hadn't done
that on
top
a draw,
deck.
or was he holding that? That would have been a draw, assume. Right? Okay, yeah, it was from the +4. Okay, yeah.
First +4, right? The first one just to confirm?
Yeah, it would have to be.
Okay. So that makes sense. So that's why he went to green. I was saying risky, so basically, Seth, he went to that green. Probably was going to give Cesar, if he hadn't got that top deck little +2, his own card, ironically, the old Cesar play, and see where it would have played out, where it lied there. So, yeah, it's a good play. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't factor in a top deck at the end of the day. I can see where that's from. That makes sense. But definitely another ammo return. We've seen that as well become a meta where you just sit back. Ask Ashley last night where ammo returns was basically her only wins for games 4 to 6. That's possible. There's ways to skin the cat. So interesting game one. Not really much to comment on stats. Still too early. Still way too early.
And going back to your point there about what Ashley had to deal with the first 3 games and then was able to have the ammo to utilize in games 4 through 6. I think we got to keep that in mind here with this series as well, because Cesar was able to utilize the wilds to be able to get himself down to check, and then on the flip side, you ended up having background be able to utilize the reverse skip meta to be able to get himself down there. Didn't have necessarily the same type of ammo, but they were both able to get themselves down to check. It could flip-flop in even the next game. We could end up having where background has the wilds, and then it's either the +2s or the reverses or the skips that Cesar's going to have to call upon.
All right. I think it puts ourselves in a good storyline for game 2. We can use a little top deck magic. Who can play a little cleaner, and we'll go for that. To Cesar, everything free. No 5 on the left, no 5 on the right. That equals 10. What do we got for game number 2? This card starts usually Cesar all over the board, usually mid-tier though, so that checks out for sure. Seth with that 9.
1 down. Oh wow.
Oh boy. There's no way. This is Jay Cesar. I don't.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
No, this guy's been around the block. I don't see it.
Dealer's choice with the wild.
Free tire 32, free tire choice. There's no way. Not with the Botas profile picture. I'd be stunned.
Yeah, I think he's gonna go full on Botas. Free pit stop. Woo!
Yeah, that's a good old Jay Cesar. That's for you. But he'll go for the red 3 at Logan.
Oh, he's going for the softs.
He's going for the softs. Already has soft tire on, Seth. We know that one. We know that package. Oh, man. The option tire. All right, but anyway, back to the game here is Cesar will get +2 early. I think now the scenario comes in, Seth, here, is how does Cesar navigate, I think, when he gets hit with these 1-2. I was just thinking in my head, he really didn't get hit with the 1-2, and he'll erase that +2. But how does he respond when someone does his own move to him? That'll be something to watch as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of times you end up putting together a playbook, and then somebody ends up doing your move against you, and you're like, wait, hold on, what are you doing? That's supposed to be what I do. But I think that Cesar is very composed. Obviously we've talked about his resume. He's been in all the different scenarios, so I don't think something like that's going to surprise him at all. As another little jab right there. So interesting. Mention about the Cesar jab back in that matchup with M, and it looks like background saying, hey, I can match you jab for jab.
Jab for jab, punch for punch. Here comes Jay. Ooh, aggressive into the yellow. Okay. A little bit of a heater right there, Seth, trying to get background off his game, and background's going to do the same exact thing, and just like that, it's almost the exact carbon copy of game one. Cesar got to go on defense.
Back here.
There it is.
3 jab plays. Yeah, and Cesar will draw him back with the +2. But that's 3 jab plays there. 2 with the reverses, 1 with the skip. So, you could have utilized maybe those reverses to do some color swap, but doing a good job just kind of whittling down his colors there was background. As swaps it back over into the green.
Keeping it clean on the green. We'll go green 9 to green 5. Background looking to maybe run it on the greens here and finish it off. We'll find out. Pretty quick game so far. Oh, here we go.
That could be game. No, it's check.
Check. Well, this is how. What does Jay get off this ammo return? That's going to be the key.
Check, and he gave him 4 freshies though.
Yeah, that's the ammo return. What does he get? That's big.
Yep.
That's big stuff. We talk about
+2 might have been off the +4 if he was holding that, but either way.
Yeah, that's a great save from Cesar. You don't know if that was going to be the finisher, so 100% good stuff there from Jay. As he'll play it cool. Background's out. Yeah, great play there from Jay. Just sit back, relax, wait for that ammo control to come back into your favor, and we'll go into run dry and draw City it up.
It's tough, right? They were both at 3 cards each when background played the +4. There's no guarantee that Cesar even had a finish to get to the end if background had drawn there to try and find whatever that card was that he was lacking to be able to get that chain to finish it out that put him at check. If they'd maybe gone into a mini draw, City might have been able to get the card that he needed, but you never know, right? Like, I ended up getting hit by Ashley with a 7-card finish yesterday and wasn't expecting that. We talk all the time about usually 3 to 5 cards is where you have to be wary of a possible finish. So when you're down there right in that territory, you call it that red zone there, I understand him using the +4 at that point in time, but again, we saw with the ammo that he gave Cesar, and now we're pretty much kind of back even here as we got the color swap over into the red. We haven't been in the red since the beginning of the game.
Yeah, the old background play himself uses his own card. Now, Cesar will double the background. Okay. We'll double it up there. But, the red, it could be one of those enablers. We'll see. You look at both players. We're teeter-tired with that red. Saving it to the end potentially as background goes 0 sugar. Let's see how Cesar reacts on this red. Remember, he got the +4 ammo return. That's the key. What did he get? He's going to go for a double, and he starts to take the lead and build some momentum back. And once again, I feel like we've been 2 5s, 1 5s, 2 6s this whole series at the scorecard for sure.
Little Cesar jab there that drains out background. Oh, okay, they're both drained out on the red now.
Back to the top decks. Here we go.
Exactly, just like game 1, relying on the top deck.
Yeah, it's just the monkey see, monkey do. Maybe a little bit of a preview of game 1 into game 2. Nothing really out of the ordinary in terms of meta. Pretty much the same meta, right? We're on a top deck, get down, shack, maybe force a little something on the back end. Now they rely on whatever's in that pile.
That was a nice little segue. Monkey see, monkey do, because one of these two is going to see monkey in the sport mode 16.
That's how we do it, man. Bananas on the tree. We go crazy. We'll keep it running and rolling. We're going to keep the draw city flowing as they continue to draw back. And you look at this. Let's go to. Actually, we got a great moment right here. Or do you want to go for a little stats check? What we got on the stats, my man? Go for it.
Well, right now with the stats here, been pretty calm right now. We have tied on the reverses. Cesar has 1 more on the wilds in +4s. Background doing well on skips. Cesar doing well on +2s, and very calming on everything else.
Yeah, switches are probably the only thing. It's a little bit higher tier per se, Seth. There we go, back to it.
That's interesting there because Cesar top decked the 7, the swap over to yellow from background, and Cesar brings it back to red. And
saving.
He was, he was. Holy cow! How many reds did he have there and decided not to play it out?
Stingray play, yeah, that's a sting
Dude,
play. That's a sting play.
that was strategy based.
That's
That
at
was
least
strategy.
2 reds he could have played, if not 3, and he held on to them. Interesting.
He's banking on a switch right here. Maybe banking on someone saving those reds to use as a possible enabler. Let's see if I'm right on that play.
But
And
again, remember, he
sometimes
had the possession advantage, too. He was up 4 cards. So, he felt maybe a little bit comfortable of going
yeah.
into a lengthy
You
draw city there and
he,
just continuing
he,
to force background to
he's
draw.
trolling. He's
Well,
trolling.
no, it's not trolling. That's a strategy. I
It
mean,
is.
it's save a little red, get some more delta on the possessions, right? And you want to do that. That's what Sting does. A lot of top players do that. This one, I think, got background a little bit more frazzled a second, but at the end of the day, they're still drawing back, so it's still a net positive for Cesar. If you can steal 2 possessions, maybe that's 1+4 earlier for background in the long run. You're always trying to think ahead, even if you're in a draw city, for sure,
Yeah.
right, Seth? You know
And
that.
you'll feel comfortable, when you end up having that possession advantage of going as long into a draw city as the other person does, because it gives you, you may end up getting more cards that obviously you have to try and chain together, but at the same time you're increasing your chances of getting ammunition too. So I really like the call. It was something that I was, wanting to kind of call upon in my matchup with Ashley yesterday, but she had the
Okay.
possession on me, so I didn't have that option available. But Cesar did in this one.
Yeah. Great
Wow, let's
triple
see.
play there by Cesar.
All right, so that's that. There's the switch now.
Oh wow!
Well, that's what I'm saying, Seth. Stealing those possessions. Think about it. If you don't steal those possessions, it's an 8-14 game. Now it's 5-16. Yeah, that
Exactly.
makes a difference on when you make that triple play break. You have some delta to work with. See
Cesar not phased by the color swap though. Runs in the green.
Well, that's his own card. So there's
Yep.
the old Cesar +2.
Little double play. Draws it back to half now.
Here comes background. Let's see what he can do. Does he use a little switch action? Or does he go for ammo control city and split up some +2s? Let's see. Loads up. He'll go for the switch. Okay, so that puts us in the blue where Cesar had won it earlier, too, ironically, with the triple play. See if he wants it here. He does. Keeps it rolling. That's interesting, Seth, to go back to the blue. We're basically going into Caesar's color off that triple play. That is an intriguing move.
Yeah, but with how long we were in that draw city, you don't know, what more he may have added in to that blue. Looks like both of them want to run in the blue here. Haven't been in it for a while, so they may have accumulated quite a lot in that draw city.
Well, let's see what will be from Jay.
It's down to 4 cards. What kind of ammo could they have accumulated during that little spell in draw city? What kind of ammunition could Cesar have to maybe have a finish here? Taking his time a little bit here. Might be setting something up.
Nothing.
Nope, never mind.
Well, that's going to give background a little bit of some life. Let's see on the blue.
Now going to have to work on the number efficiency here.
That's a switch, I think, or it's a ditto. Yeah, no, there we go. Then the gone. Okay, so that's a play back in the green here, Seth. Does that free Jay up a little bit? It will into the vapor. Here he comes again, looking to load in, see if he's got any more momentum on the greens. Here comes background in the Chambik. And yeah, now it's 2-color ISO, blue and green for the last couple minutes here. That's interesting.
Yep.
But Jay still with the advantage. We talked about stealing a couple possessions. Can he steal one right here on the greens after being surely iced down the blues?
Cesar up 1-0 right now. Background certainly would want to draw it back even. Doesn't want to be in a 2-0 deficit here.
Jay loading up +4.
That's
Ooh.
huge.
Now you got to start thinking here, especially with the stats and the card history here. You start to look at this, Seth. Half the +4s are guys. He's going to go for the blue wild. Great play, unless Cesar's got more in the back pocket as a split ammo play. Let's see. It could be split ammo, Seth. We've seen a thing or two with Cesar. Usually he does that +4. It's a split, and he tries to go for the finish on the back end. But I think he's going to get iced out right here.
Yeah, I don't see how he doesn't draw. He drew on the blue earlier.
We'll hold the phone here. Seth, that is something right there.
That's interesting.
That is taking a risk.
It is. I'm not 100% certain I'm on board with that one. Because now you're giving 2 extra cards to see. Okay, so it
Man.
worked out in his
Gets away
favor.
with it.
He got
But
away
it's
with
risky,
it, but
man.
you were giving him an out. That was giving him an out right there, so...
All it's going to take is 1+2, and that move goes down the toilet.
Exactly.
Let's see.
That is one of the riskiest and could sometimes be a stupid call.
It could be. Let's see. It's heaven or hell on that one. There's no doubt. Well,
You're stuck between a rock and a hard
Little
place.
top deck.
that's a win for background. If that was a +2, then we're talking some business here. But the reverse is that's a win in a sense that at least it's not more cards. But now he's going to have to start fighting tooth and nail. Cesar looking for check. Close to signing it. Let's see. Does he have a double in the back pocket? No, but he plays a single.
He could have check coming up.
He very well
Unless
could.
background does
Could
something
have
right
check.
here.
I don't know if he would necessarily have a finish. It would all depend. Oh, well,
That's something.
another little jab.
Keeps Cesar back, and that'll be a draw. So that work. It's a weird workaround style, but it's working, Seth, for
It
background.
is. It really is.
Really keeping the background in this matchup.
Yeah,
Well,
the blue +2 I wasn't all that certain about. The yellow +2 I think was okay. It's interesting though. You think about it too. He ended up doing the blue +2 into the draw. He would have then had the chain of the blue +2 and the yellow +2 to be able to work with, and not quite bring it back even, but make it a much closer game if he had held on to it and just gone into just a regular draw city there with Cesar.
Oh, now he's going to get us a little jailbreak action potentially. Cesar was fresh out of yellows. He'll break. Let's see.
Yeah, that would be a jailbreak right here.
He's with Cesar, and he's going to use his own card. Wow.
Yes, he is.
Turnaround's fair play, says Jay Cesar. Background Cesar put on a show with the +2s. How about that, Seth? We're juiced on the +2s, except for one red one left. That's it. Let's see what background will do here. He'll play it cool. Cesar with a little test. Can he pass it? No.
Oh,
You talked about
perfect.
that red, KT. We've not been in that for a while. I'm almost wondering if that's the color that would open up Pandora's box on both sides right now.
Oh, it's 100%. That's what's going to open up Pandora.
You're gonna have to look at the card history on that part. That's gonna be. That's one of those iffy sort of things there.
Well, it depends if you want to go to that red 2 set that there's someone's holding back that red +2 who will make the break, and there's a potential play from background for a triple into a quad.
Oh, it might be a bigger one.
Art thinking a bigger one. It might be. This might be reverse skip meta here, Seth. Maybe get a call to the finish. Let's see.
Wow.
No.
Ended at 2. And just like that, Cesar, who had almost a 2-1 card advantage over background, now... Oh my gosh.
The classic.
That's gotta be.
He did it in game 1. He does it in game 2.
An
answer back though.
Are you kidding me?
Combo. Does he have another one? Does he have? Oh, this might be the red +2. This might be the red +2. Nope, he got caught. Wow, no
+2. Wow. GG.
Unbelievable.
Wow, you can't predict that, man.
No.
I mean, the only thing he does there is his draws, and okay, it's a red wild, then he gets back to green, but you can't predict that. That was a crazy game. Ask a question. That was insane.
Yeah, I mean, background kind of playing from behind for a good portion of that match. Had that one questionable move there with the blue +2 into the draw, but then also utilized the other +2s at perfect times and kept that wild in the back pocket to be able to get the color swap there to finish this game out. Great back and forth, but how did you keep your composure to be able to draw this thing back, be able to then take the advantage? And I mean, we talked a lot about how the wilds here, especially during this round of the tournament, have been used in the defensive mode. Was that wild all set up and already destined to be an offensive one to have the finish, or were you holding on to that to maybe have your own defensive play if necessary at some point late in this game?
Jay, I mean, everything that you did was pretty clean. I kind of saw the foreshadow of you getting some of those reds just on the draw city to use as field fillers in a way. You did everything right. You juiced the +2s. You played pretty composed there. The only thing I would say is that wild, could you have maybe, I don't know, maybe had saved the wild +4 and just used a regular wild to go to maybe that green as a, or not green, maybe the yellow as an earlier measure, and then maybe use the wild +4 to the finish, or do you just think it was a case of you just don't know in Draw City we have been switching like a sailor, and sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles because it's been even 2-2, 3-1, 4-4, 3-5, 3-4, 53 apiece on the cards to say the least. And that's the thing, Seth. This one's been a lot more even, a lot more clean game. No one way or the other. I didn't have the other play. I got you. So it's just more of a discombobulation. Just had to try to connect pieces to the puzzle and it just wasn't connecting. Is that how we're going to read that one, Jay?
But yeah, to your point, definitely has been even. It's interesting too because we've had matchups where you've given me the notes and it's almost kind of like carbon copy of what the players bring to the table. With what we're seeing here, this is looking a little bit different of background here from what we saw in the Brad matchup. He's almost in a sense kind of carbon copying what we're used to seeing out of Cesar. So I don't think that that's necessarily throwing Cesar off of his game, but it is making things interesting in terms of it is a constant back and forth, almost a mirror image plays that we end up seeing, jabs back and forth, little bit of reverse skip metas that go on either side. Definitely makes it even, and so no surprise that we have this thing drawn up 1-1 even going into Game 3.
Yeah, it's been a good series. It's been a good one. Artie, your thoughts on these first two, man? This has been a classic. Living up to the billing. And here I had a blue 0 to switch and then use my wild offensively, but the last BC plays. Well, that's funny. That's the second time in 2 games that the blue 0 has made the difference. It's kind of funny.
And interesting there as well. Background saying that the wild was actually more to set up to get back to green, which is interesting because he ended up finishing out in the red. The +2 is just to get it out of the way and put Cesar back. Even if he got +2 back, felt he needed more ammo. He had to skip some reverses, but only got the wild with Cesar's green +2. So interesting to play the +2 to get it out of the way. I understand the drawing him back, but to get it out of the way is an interesting thought process there because you normally you'd like to hold on to those things and build off of them.
Yeah, that's definitely setting the kitchen sink right there, Art. I think that's a case that you said earlier, Seth, too, with the Wilds being more defensive. That's not really a defensive play to set something up. That's more of an end-around wild play. That's next level. That's next level wilding. I'll tell you that much. If you start thinking about those next level end-arounds for the wild cards, just have one single card without the reverse skip meta, you're doing something right. But yeah, it's risky to leave it open on that +2, especially with how things have been going lately. Definitely got himself a little lucky, to say the least, on that for sure.
His initial +4 check was because his last card was a second blue 7. If he'd had that blue +2 that we saw him play, or a +4, he would have won. So relying on a little bit of number efficiency there. I think he was relying on Cesar trying to do a color swap to be able to finish the thing out, and instead we ended up Cesar be able to draw him back with the +2 instead.
Initial +4 check because my last card was a B7. Huh. Yeah. A second. Okay, so it was a number efficiency. Boy, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I gotta just throw this in on how these first 2 games have really shown not just who can have the advantage, really, because game 1's the filler one. Starting on game 2, then you can really see what's going on. But I don't think we've really seen anything important here.
Okay.
On how these players are going to be different. But if you look on how the stats are showing, really the only thing that can jump out is if you look at the wild +4s and the skips and +2s. Because right now, background character has the more +2s and skips, while Cesar has the more wild +4s. But still anybody's game here. We just now got from a best of 7 really down to a best of 5.
Well, that's the thing with the stats. Or some of it could be misleading stats. Sometimes I call it garbage time stats, and that's what I was about to say, where you just see those wilds and +4s at the end in a run. This one, it's been equal. I'm not even going to say it's been a game of just, someone's over. Last night was not. This has been pretty top tier. There's been no runs to the finish where we've seen +2s in just one setting for sure. It's pretty close, not going to lie.
A Monkey has jumped into our VC, looking to see who the winner of this is going to be. He's going to be facing off against them in the Sports Mode 16. Just one quick question here for background, just looking at that here too.
No,
Obviously, this game worked out in your favor to draw it back even 1-1, but interesting when you look at that scenario you were talking about having the two blue sevens and being able to get to one of them with the wild. I know it's very early on in this series, but did power play enter into your mind at all there at that point in time to be able to then be able to have the ditto play with the blue seven to be able to draw this back even 1-1, or are you still just, was that not even a thought process at that point in time? Okay, so he did consider it, because I was thinking about that, but again, he felt it was too early, and maybe that is the case as well. It obviously worked out in his favor, but that would have been a scenario right there where a power play would have been able to be utilized to be able to get the series drawn back 1-1.
Well, I guess, Seth, right? It's early. It's a best of 7. I know we talk about, instincts, but at a certain point, you also got to realize, too, average chance to win a spot. Yeah, that's a pretty. If you have a double number, why risk it on a game 2?
Yep.
I understand. If that was a game 4, okay, it's 2-1. You're down. You got to get a spark. You get a little spark, a little flint to go in the right direction. Yeah, try it. But
I agree.
It worked out. And all you really need is one game on the road. That's the beauty of being on the road to start. All you need is one steal one. The little spark gets created, and boom, just like that, we're talking whole new ball game for sure.
Well, win on the road, as you said. Now, background going to be at home here for game 3. So,
right.
Background, what you looking at here? Looks like only one he can't be on is 9.
Okay.
Going with the classic.
The old classic. This is one you do, Seth, for sure. Now put it in. Classic cards. Here we go. 7-pack. This can go.
Oh, wow.
Oh, double the start. There's. Oh, boy. Jay Cesar probably thinking fresh tires right here. Wow, already throwing a heater in the booth. Oh, boy.
Oh, come.
Well, I will say, though, I think this is okay because you got a sense that I think Cesar's going to oblige. It wasn't his home starter. If it was his home starter, he's probably going to run the pace. It ain't his home pace. He'll just run whatever, for sure.
So
I think it's more just a respect thing.
So we'll start in the blue. And this mid-tier, this Classic 7, it's interesting because, those type of matchups, there's definitely a momentum swing. Depends on the ammo distribution. And a lot of times, on a 7-card start, you may get no ammo at all. You may just have numbers. And that can happen on both sides. So then it comes down to the number efficiency game more than the ammo management.
Yeah, right now is the number efficiency game, Seth, as we'll wait to see if Cesar can run these blues. See what happens here. I think it's going to come down to, there's the +2. Maybe when someone makes that first break and the color switch has been the positive trend so far through these first 2 games. Background now looking at 2 extra cards, still has nothing. Cesar looking to maybe switch, but he doesn't have anything. So yeah, it's one color right now, and sometimes when it's color, it can lead to multiple avenues as they continue to build their hand and build the bricks, as I call them.
I'm almost, I don't know. This one's a hard one to read. I don't necessarily know. Okay, so Background plays a blue 7. Background initiated the color. He played the blue 8 and started us in the blue and then was immediately out. So we saw Cesar, he held back some cards in red at one point when we were in a draw city. I'm wondering if Background's holding something back here as well, kind of a little deja vu from what we saw out of Cesar back in game 2.
Yeah, it could be one of those. It's a copycat league, and I'm going to copycat. Yeah, I think it could be you trying. The only difference is though that was trying to steal possessions. Didn't really steal possession. Maybe it's a mental game to say, hey, we're still stuck here, and I'm going to drag you with me in the mud. And well, not so fast, my friend. A little bit of a breakout right there.
Could also have been a case that neither of them really had any ammunition, so
could be too. Yep.
Could have been trying to force into a draw city on both sides.
I don't know right now, Seth. Into this yellow 7 here, I think both are hiding something in reserves, and they could be waiting for a possible red-green take. Yeah, just thinking in my head. I'm thinking that there's no way you're just going to be content on one color, and now we'll see if it's a new ball game on these red. Here comes Jay. He's been doing this all game. Cesar has it. Cesar jab. It's been +2s or skips and revert. That's all he's done. That's really what's made the difference so far for him. Background has not been phased by it one bit, and just willingly drawing or doing some strategic control draws, to say the least.
And now does Cesar continue to run in the red? No, he'll bring it
No,
over
it's
to
the
the
green,
green.
though.
So there we go. All 4 colors, and now Pandora's box open a little bit here. But he does have the possession, does Cesar. Let's see if background's got anything in that. Just going to run with the 2.
Yeah, just going through your progressions right there, going through the system and saying, hey, okay, I'm going to run through all 4 colors and see how it clicks at the end.
We talk about timing. Cesar down to 5 cards. Background obviously trying to deplete his hand of the numbers if he's got ammo, try and save that ammunition, but he's going to want to make sure if he plays it, he doesn't play it 1 turn too late, that Cesar doesn't preempt him.
That is insane, man. That is... Cesar back to yellow?
And
he's really
color.
Yeah, he's trying to really play this camouflage look of Uno here. That's something, man. Really hiding these colors to a T.
He's doing a lot of the number efficiency right now. Oh!
Yeah, it's gonna get shot down. No, you can't do much on that +4. Could be a case that maybe he didn't have much. And it was just for a potential +2 filler. Here comes Cesar now. Let's see if he gets on an ammo. Cesar jab. Let's call it.
Little jab into the 0.
It's at 8 now, so that's background up to Shamik.
1 possession advantage for Cesar right now after that jab.
Oh, he's going back. Top decker. Maybe a topper or maybe a save. We'll have to ask him on that +4. You never know.
That might have been off the plus.
To the green.
I think that +4 might have been off the +4. I think Cesar got the +4 off of the background +4. Oh, no, really? Oh!
Play.
Oh! The defensive move on the wild. Cesar going to shoot that down with the power play.
That's got to be game. There's no
1. There it is. Yep. Wow.
And his own and the classic set to actually wild, and it's a wild flush back in return. Interesting. Good move there. Remember, you have to use the power player in that situation because if you use the regular wild, it gives a chance to the opponent to fight back. I like that play for sure. Good move.
I do too.
We'll stop it right there at 5:25. You ask a question in the background as always, Seth. That's a good play.
Yeah, background, kind of put in a situation there with Cesar down to 3 cards. You fire that wild +4. Obviously, you give him ammunition, though, so a little bit risky there. But as I mentioned, when we have these lower card starts, we had 7 cards in this one, that lower mid-tier area. A lot of times it comes down to the number efficiency, and it looked like the 2 of you were definitely utilizing that very well. Was it only when we started going into that draw city that you were able to get ammunition? Did you have anything off of the start? And how were you able to try and find some way to control the pace here to draw Cesar back? Because, again, kind of like we saw back in Game 2 when you were able to draw back, even eventually get the advantage, you were kind of playing a little bit on the back foot.
Okay.
There you go. All numbers. No ammo. That's what I was saying, right? You have the 7-card start, and a lot of times you end up not having the ammunition. You have to rely on the number efficiency or the lengthy draw cities to get the ammunition necessary.
I mean, I'll go to you, Jay. The extra.
Right. Yep.
I think drawing there, not the worst move. Try to steal something. Jay, I'll go to you here. Why did that Cesar jab step's been working? I really think it's been the one thing working. What's been the magic behind those double plays, really in the skips and reverse meta, and really playing that patience game and knowing you have some extra delta in the back pocket, where the light switching almost enables that. Obviously, the power play, I think, is just a solid, great foresight move. You can't risk anything. I get that for sure. And Seth, we always talk about that with that power play. It's a double-edged sword. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but this one was just a cleaner backdoor move, and you go from there for sure.
And he had played the +4 on background, so who knows what those 4 fresh cards would have been. So, again, to your point and what he said, you can't risk it. You got to do the power play there, finish it out, take a 1 or a 2-1 advantage. I like that for sure. And it'll be interesting to see if we end up drawing this thing into a Game 7, though, late, if that power play, if it would be something that he really would want to rely on in a crucial final game.
Well, if he had a second wild, then
there you go.
That's a clean move. You can't. Yeah, if he gets the second wild, we're going right back. That is. So the second. Okay, so that yellow +4 gave you 2 right off the bat. So yeah, good move there from Jay then, because then it's going back to very likely, well, any color other than red. And yeah, that could have most likely green, and then he would have been stopped in his tracks with 2, I guess, hanging pairs there. So yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense to make that move there. Good move from Jay, and I think background, considering that's all he had in the hand to start with, that you take that as a win. Move forward, for sure.
So background will still have the power play available to him for the remainder of this series, but Cesar takes a 2-1 advantage. An interesting thing I was noticing here as well, KT, is we talk about the Cesar jab, and he's done really well with that. One thing we haven't yet seen him do, he's had quite a number of reverses, quite a number of skips to be able to do those jabs numerous times in these games, but he hasn't really utilized them to string along a run of 3 or 4. So, do we end up seeing at some point where he kind of turns away from the jab and goes for the uppercut knockout punch at some point here? That's kind of something that could be, rumbling underneath the surface that he could utilize later on in this match.
Could be. I mean, it very well could be. I don't know, man. This is. I mean, looking at the stats here, it seems to be. It's just even. It's 3-3, 4-2, 4-4. Yeah, there's not much to separate these two. 32 self on the cards drawn. It's nothing really. I mean, there's not been really much separation in either player. Sure, background may have not had the hand there, but still, he found a way with a little top decking, a little ammo control. Just not panicking on the scoreboard. It was everything you wanted to. And that blue isolation, hey, it worked out because for the most part, Jay was iced out until that blue +2. So it's been clean in both avenues. It's just who's going to have the last laugh could be something to watch. As Cesar now up 2-1, but with no power play. We'll see how he navigates. But it's back to back right here, Seth.
Yep.
In his game 4, big pivotal one with that power play event. He's going to send it. Let's see.
Full send.
All right, now we'll put it in. Big moment in game 4. I'll let Seth take the call on the sender.
So far, we're 1-2 with wins at home in this series.
All right.
Background looking to draw it back 2-2. Still has that power play available. And we'll start in the green.
And the old gun deuce right there as we go into the LaPlante 5. Well, I mean, it's going to be I think it's going to be a game of switching. Going to be a game of understanding the runs, understand the efficiency as we go green 0.
Interesting scenario here, too, if your background, right? Because, we ended up seeing back in game 2, he could have used the power play, felt it was too early. It worked out for him. Now, he's got the advantage on the power play, but you certainly don't want to run the risk of holding on to the power play for too long and find yourself in a 3-1 deficit with Cesar, at match point. If you've got a path here to finish out this game, draw it back 2-2, do you think this is where we start to maybe have the consideration of background utilizing his power play here as well, and then we end up running into games 5 and 6 just completely even with 0 power plays on the table?
Yeah, that's possible. I think as Cesar though, right now, what is possible here, Seth, is Cesar's going aggressive. He's starting to feel it a little bit, right? Just starting to get that momentum off that power play. He's starting to get a little more aggressive and turn up the wick. That can be a scary sight sometimes, but we'll see if he gets too overconfident or just stays within his limits.
Well, background said full send, so Cesar says, all right, full send, never lift. Foot on the accelerator.
Yes, sir.
May have taken the brake out of the vehicle, who knows?
Yeah, I mean...
Gotta throw this in as well about that power play comment that y'all were talking about. Sometimes you can hold it on, which could be bad, but if you use it too early and it comes back to haunt you, that might be an issue as well.
Well, that's the risk you take with the power play, but I think that was a clean power play. Considering he's had a second wild, it would have been we continuing on in this third game, right? If that hadn't happened, so I'm not too concerned. I think it really is going to come down to, in my humble opinion, as Seth said, who makes the break on the switches, who's got the last laugh on saves, on maybe potentially just defensive wilds, which we know and love as defensive plays, but today it really hasn't been defensive play. It's been more of an offensive end-around play, which is interesting.
Yeah, it just really comes down to the scenario, right? Like if in this case, if background has a finish where he doesn't have to utilize the power play, great. You know, you draw back 2-2, you still have the power play available. But if you're that one card short up to the finish and you need that bridge with the power play, you may think about utilizing it here because, you know, think about the scenario if Cesar ends up winning this game, goes up 3-1, then the power play starts to go maybe into the defensive conversation to try and stop him from winning the crucial game 4. So it really just
Yeah.
comes down to the scenario. It comes down to what you've got in your hand, what the scenario looks like, how many cards are on the other side of the table.
Well, for Caesar, great move right there to go to the double play. The usual Caesar jab step. It's been pretty much his bread and butter, but background's going to isolate that with the +4. And once again, it's the +4. What is the return? What
Yep.
is that 4 freshy return? That's the key. And Caesar going to go for the switch. Back to blue, looking for ISO. Does back grab anything in the back? Oh! Wait a minute.
Brought it to red and now looking to bring it over to yellow?
Anything?
Yeah.
Hold it. Wait a minute. You guys, you don't see the. Where's Llamas?
I don't know.
Wait a minute. What? Huh. You don't. You guys aren't. I'm not the only one that doesn't see
No,
Llamas.
it says the butts. There it is. Okay. Now it's loaded.
Oh, hold the phone. What the? Get. And. I'll forward that to him. Hold. Seth, take the call. Let me. You take it. I gotta figure this out.
All right. So yeah. So that's an interesting one because you got the +4 into the red, draws to the red 2. Cesar with the color swap and then going over to the yellow. So one would think maybe that red 2 the only red that
Good
background
enough.
had and now going over to a different color, but interesting.
I just got pain. Hold on. Keep going, Seth. Keep calling again.
Yeah, we'll see what the play is there with that one. Utilizing both wilds. Wild +4, giving some ammunition to Cesar, and now over to the yellow. I mean, I think at the time, I think Cesar was down to 3 cards, so I do understand the +4 being played at that point in time. Draw him back plus get the color swap. Could have potentially done it reverse with the regular wild and get it over to the red and then utilize the +4 to get over to the yellow. But at the same time, can't run that risk with Cesar being down as
Well,
low as he was.
I'll stop the clock for now. I don't know if we're gonna get an answer out of MGR. I don't know. I don't know. That back to the game here while we wait for that. I don't know. That is interesting to throw the heater in there to yellow. Maybe background's looking for more of a way to be aggressive and match that aggression, but
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could think of is the
I don't know.
+4 was played to draw Cesar back, get to his red 2, which I'm assuming based off the fact that he immediately then had a color swap over to the yellow with the wild, that was his only red. Which you have to think is going to be something in the back of Cesar's mind with getting those 4 fresh cards in the +4. Might try and find some way to be able to get it back over to red and leave background to have to rely on number efficiency. Oh, we're good.
Whatever that was, I'll just if Grim. Well,
Cody
it
broke
was
the game. We'll blame it on Cody.
freaking Cody.
Good idea.
Them llamas always
Yeah.
causing trouble.
No,
Hey,
no, no. It's Cody Smart.
Oh, jeez, Cody's smart now. Anyway, I'll get to Grim if he DMs me. We'll just go. Let me just log that here. Let me just. I'll throw some stoppage time. We were a minute, but we're not gonna count that minute. Let me just. Okay, so we'll pick it up at I don't know 6:58. It was. So we'll call it 5. We'll call it 6-3 right now. So at minus a minute at this game now, just for the log. All right, we're back. So I'm gonna readjust the scoreboard. Keep it going, Seth.
So,
Apologies there.
no, we all good. We all good. We're running again. We're in the yellow. What background wanted. Cesar now. See what he does to maybe go for a color swap here. Wild was
Get
utilized to be
back.
able to put it into the yellow by background. Cesar had something. Now, oh, there we go. Goes into the green. Okay, interesting. Background may be able to run in green. We haven't been in green for a bit here. Oh, wow. Brings it back to the yellow, the number efficiency. Does Cesar have an answer back here?
Well, let's see. Cesar now. +4, there it is. Maybe possible ammo return. We talked about that.
And he brings it back to the red as well, which background I'm assuming was out of. Question is, was he given any red here on the 4 fresh cards?
Let's see. Now that'd be an ammo return back. It's game of runs and ammo returns for so far now in this game 4 here. Cesar looking to go up 3-1, back looking to tie. Here he comes with the run. Taking his time. Gotta think this one through a pivotal moment in the series, no doubt.
Background will run in the red. And I think this is the third scenario where we've ended up having a +4 answer back that was given off of another +4. Happened in game 2, happened in game 3, and now it's happened here in game 4. I'm pretty sure that wild +4 that we saw Cesar fire was the +4, was off the +4 that background hit him with.
Yeah, indeed. And now, for background character here is... Whoa, that's a heater set. That's...
Oh, wow.
That's a heat check right there. We got to see what this is. Here we go. This could be a run. Yep. This might be a run. Yeah, it's you had to think it. There's no way you're playing a red wild there. I said something's not right there. That's a heat check. Here we go. +2 into the quad. Oh, he goes to sneaks. What?
Didn't even need the power play. That was a cool move there with the red wild, because that then took away the possibility, if Cesar didn't have red, that took away the number efficiency scenario for a light switch.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that one before. That was cool.
Yeah, I've seen this one before. It's just a case of, you limit the options Cesar has, and you limit the colors. You can ask a question for background. A little bit of a weird game for sure, because I missed a little bit of that middle portion, but to catch back up and get a good question here. Go for it, Seth.
Well, we ended up seeing a couple of times, most notably back in game 2 there, background, where you had the utilization of the +2s, and you ended up giving maybe a little too much ammo to Cesar, and that's what ended up drawing us into a longer game there. In this one, as we could see, you were holding on to the ammunition, had the +2s, had the skips. We saw before you kind of would utilize them as to jab back at Cesar, but holding on to them here, able to keep that power play still available. You draw it back even 2-2. I gotta go back there though to that move there with the wild. That was really good play to ice out a lot of the scenarios of the color swap, but we've seen the returns, right? We've seen the returns back and forth. This is the third time now that we've seen the back and forth of the +4 giving another +4. How do you reset? Because obviously when you play the +4, you're planning, a path to be able to finish it out. And then when you find out that on the return, you've given them a +4 to use against you, obviously with the ammo, it didn't affect you quite as much, but I mean, how do you reset? How do you reset the strategy when you end up having a +4 return?
I'll ask Cesar. Shoot, man, I was going to ask, did you think the controlled aggression here in this game was more a case of you felt the hand was in your favor, maybe on a back-end blue? Because the blue really, when you went into that blue off the green, you seemed to have control of the game, and then I had mentioned it, you did your Cesar jab, all of a sudden, you throw that heater +4, and then the whole plan's in change. How do you try to control these controlled returns? Is it a case of maybe you go for a bit of, I don't know, a little bit more patience at the first couple of minutes of the game? Or do you just sense that it's a case you can't time and you have to accept it? That's how the cookie crumbles. It's a tough one set to read. It's been very ammo return heavy, where if one throws one gets everything in back. When one doesn't, nothing's in return. It's been very tricky to read.
It really is, because you go back to our first couple of games, and it came back to the top deck draw, right? Now we look
sure.
at the last two games, it goes to what we're talking about there, that return off the +2s and the +4s. And when we talk about what you can control, obviously you don't have any control over what ammo is given when you play specifically the +4s that we've seen here. But at the same time, a lot of them have been utilized when these guys are down to really around the 3-card mark. And, it's a tough scenario, right? Because you don't know if they've got a finish. So it certainly seems the right time to be able to utilize the +4 in a defensive way. But at the same time, with not knowing what the return is going to be, it's hard to balance whether that is something that is within your control or not, because you feel you have to play the card, but then you don't know what the end result's going to be, what's going to be on the other side of the table in terms of ammo. And we saw right there, all three of the +2s that we saw there with that finish were off the +4 that Cesar played.
Yeah, he says it happens. Figure out a pretty decent hand to get some good switches and win, but then get at the end, miss the call. It happens like that. Saying can't win. Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I mean, it's pretty right there, Seth. That it really was a case of you just can't predict a triple +2 in the bag off a +4 every time, right? There's no read on that. And I had two
wilds
so,
and a +4 when he did the +4.
Man, when I did the so that man, I did the. Okay, so right here, I'm gonna assume just to make sure. You always gotta backtrack with this game, man. Here, right to confirm, BC.
Yeah, I think you'd be correct on that.
Okay, so that's a case. Okay, that's a case. Yeah, okay, so that's a case of I got all the ammo, right? I got a little ammo delta in the back pocket, and what could possibly go wrong in a scenario where you say, okay, I got 2 rounds. Hey, let's throw one. Let's lighten the load a little bit, burn some of that cargo, and ultimately the cargo was burnt, but it took a little bit of some top deck or some +4 return magic to get the end result. So that's interesting.
And again, that was the scenario where Cesar was down to 3 cards, right? And he was in color control at that point, too. So you take away the color possession, you put him back 4 cards. So, while in other scenarios, maybe you might think about utilizing just the regular wild for the color swap, with him being down to 3 cards, you can't run that risk. You don't know what ammo he might have to be able to get a color swap over, may have a +4 waiting in the wings. You have to play the +4 at that point in time, and then rely on the 2 wilds to get you to the finish.
This sets up an intriguing Game 5 set. I don't know about you, but it's been a fun one to say the least. It's been living up to the billing. We'll go to Jay Cesar here, Game 5. Cesar, no 7-10 split. Everything else is free board. Been a good one so far. Best of 3. What do we got? 12-pack it is. Here we go. So this is a pivotal one. You got to think now, Seth. That's where that play for background. He can use it any time. Here we go into Game 5.
Oh, we saw it back in the first 2 games. Heck, we even saw it back just in the first game with the back and forth, how even it looked. And you kind of got the sense that this could be going into a Game 7. It's certainly looking like it. It's continued to look like that's been the trend here, even at 2-2. I wouldn't be shocked if we end up going into a final Game 7 here with these two.
Nah, I wouldn't either. It's almost becoming feel of it in a sense, right? We're starting to feel this Game 7 out, and it's not going to become abnormal. It's going to become normal. Here we go, though. He'll play into that green with the switch. It's been the popular thing here so far, Seth, early. It's a crossback early crosser. Okay. Early crosser. How does Cesar respond? I gotta think he's going to have something, though. He's usually a saver. Or if not, just has another 8. And then we'll go be started off 8-ball for real.
Sometimes you want to have that color control right off the bat. And there you go.
Okay.
He did have something loaded up there. So it might have been holding on to that +2. Might have been wanting to run in the green, save that +2 for later on. So that could have been a preemptive flush for background. Who knows?
Yeah, I think that's a good thing if you're background. Be content. See if he actually has more in the tank. Good move to just test him there. I like that play, right? Especially in the early part of the game. He may not have anything. Just test him. See what's up.
Cesar with that little double play. Now out of the yellow, potentially. So many times I'll say, they're out of that color, they're iced out of that color, and then they end up playing that color. So they have, they end up having something in reserve. So I never take anything for granted in that regard. Visibly, it looks like they're out, but it may not necessarily mean that they're completely out of that color.
Yeah, he's looking for a number switch. You can tell it to try to spark the fire, and the 5 might be what he needed. Yep, and I was just thinking. Remember, we had just saw that he played off the 5 too in the yellow 5, so that
Right.
made sense. Oh, hold the phone.
Little
Triple
double,
play.
yeah, little trip.
Little
Double
trip. We
skip
go
to
down
the
to
1.
we go to the H to the Ghost, and now Cesar gonna fire right back, not taking zero chances for Sugar Pack in the as well as hockey in the Logan. Now the pace is picking up. Seth, 8s apiece. Here we go.
Cesar with the possession, 1 possession up. Brings it over to the green. That's what he initially had the color swap with, off the yellow 8 to the green 8. So back to the color he initially wanted, and background will run with him in green. Both
We'll
have
see how
fired
it
plus
goes.
2s at each other, so, what was the return off those plus 2s?
Yeah, I mean, man, playing a dangerous game with all that, playing a dangerous game with those turns today, Seth. No
Seems like they
tax
always
season
have like
soon.
a word of the day in these broadcasts, and I think returns the word of the day in this matchup.
Yeah,
Oh, brother.
yeah, the old tax season's coming on. Here, hold the phone. There's the plus 2s. Oh man, you
Here we
hold
go
your breath every
again.
time you see it now.
Yeah.
What are they getting?
I mean, right in
From
the middle
Cesar.
of the game too. So, when it's too early to utilize that ammunition.
Yeah, one's too early, one's too late, one's just right. It's the old just right moment, right? The old porridge. Just right. Into the blue 4 we go to Nom. Background goes to M, and now we're running the blues. Here comes Jay, though. He's going to fight back here. You got to think you're set up this one.
We're down to 4 cards there for background.
Yeah, there it is. Triple play. He's got the lead. And now we go back and forth.
That's actually a quad.
Yep. Quad play. Gets it back. Now Jay Cesar looking for a potential runner in split ammo. Does he have it, or does he go for a check? He's got the potential winner! Jay for the win! And he's got the KT1.
Look at that.
Then Jay is 1 away. What a play. On the dot, 359. Unbelievable. Jay, I got to ask you on that one, man. That was probably the first game, I think, all series where that was a strict... Yeah, I'm thinking that was what? Pretty much a strict plan A other than one draw. Where did you get off that one draw? Other than that, was that a case of little fortuitous switching? And talk to me about how you used a little bit of that saving. Or maybe 2 draws, I'm sorry. But pretty much a plan A game. Yeah, it's been a seesaw, man.
It has indeed.
Oh, man.
It's a
Okay,
perfect
then.
analogy.
What's your thoughts on this? You go for it.
Because that background, I mean, again, the word of the day has been return. You took some shots there with some plus 2s. Now, the first one was around the beginning of the game. The second was around the middle of the game. Were they offensive to be able to get to a different color, or were you just trying to gain the possession advantage? Because we'll see a lot of times when you end up utilizing ammo cards like that, specifically the plus 2s in the middle of the game, could end up coming back to haunt you as the thing gets closer to the end. It was defensive. Okay, interesting.
The red plus 2 and the other blue.
Yeah, it's incredible what the returns have been here with both the plus 2s and the plus 4s on both sides.
Oh, you know what though? You know what? Think about this though. If you think about it, he could have easily just played the green 7. There's a power play right there. I could have so really good awareness from Jay to get the switch right using that extra ammo delta. But yeah, man, once again, extremely number based hand, and I've never seen so many plus 2, plus 4 returns where it's just it's seesawing back and forth. There's no linear adage.
And the thing I like too as well that I saw there at the end, Cesar ended up having us kind of wait on that last card, but what he made sure he did the double play and made sure he got the Uno called in to take away the defensive power play by background, then knew that he was safe to be able to play the last card. He could have easily done the trips of the quad play there, but he wanted to make sure he got the Uno called in.
Yeah, good. Well, that's just good awareness.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, that's good awareness right there from Jay. Really hard to say what's the fact that, as I said, it's a return type of game, and I don't even know when we're going to land on these returns, man. It's seesawing back and forth here. It has every look set into the game 7. you never know in this game, man, because all it's going to take is one monster hand and one monster, and it can flip. So he just got the momentum, but background still has some life. It's going to be
And
an
it's going to
interesting
be
one in this
interesting
game
here
7.
to see what background goes with, because it looks like Caesar has been all over the place, and so too has background. Yeah, Caesar with what 9, 10, and 12, and then 5 or 7 and 15. We had a classic and a full set. So with the possession here for background, where the heck are we going to be going in this one? It's kind of anybody's guess.
Look at this, Seth. Reverses, skips, plus 2s, 5, 5, 10, 8, 10, 8, 5,
Oh,
3, 4.
14.
We're going 14, but just one more thing to add, man. We've been so even on the ammo all day,
Yeah.
despite some of these it's been pretty damn close. There's minimal margin when it's all close. How do you find that extra 2/10 out of the back pocket in Q trim? Very hard right now to find that. They've been very nip and tuck for each other. This is going to be a fast-stand return game. I think that's going to dictate who wins this series. Let's go to game 6. Let's do it.
So starting out with 14 here, the call from background. Still has that power play available, looking to draw this even 3-3, put us into the pivotal game 7. Winner moves on to the Sport Mode 16 to face off against Monkey. Started in the yellow, ball in the court of background. Let's see what he does with it.
Well, he's going to go aggressive here, I think. I think he's going to go aggressive
No.
at some point for Jay. He's going to not now, but at some point he's going to go aggressive and start to realize, okay, we've had all this return stuff. How many more times is it going to take to say, you know what, this is part of the meta, live and die by the sword? You know what I'm saying? So you're going to have to accept it at some point. Say, we know it's part of the meta, but you got to live.
And obviously, you know, at this point in time, I think you're definitely going to be on the offensive if you're background. I almost feel if you're Caesar, you also want to play this on the offensive. You almost want to play this as if background doesn't have that power play, right? You want to put him in a scenario where he has to utilize it here, maybe even on the defensive side. Because you've got the 3-2 advantage, you're down a power play. I feel that if you're playing this game on the back foot, if you're initially starting this out, playing defensive against background, then more than likely this is going to draw into a game 7. I think you're currently in the process of kind of a play-to-win mentality if you're Caesar. If it doesn't work out, maybe you flush the power play and you go in 0-0 on the power play scenario in a pivotal game 7.
Yeah, that power play, we'll start worrying about that a little bit later, I think. I think if you're background, not really one to rush it right now, it's still a little early, but you start thinking about that as well, especially with plenty of time to spare. As Caesar goes for a double play, it's just, this point is almost vintage trademark of, okay, here's my Caesar jab. How do you roll into it, for sure.
And you got to remember, too, with background, we've seen a lot of times, too, in best of 7s where, you know, the mentality is, okay, I'm down, I want to hold on to this power play, maybe even hold on to it to a game 7. What if we don't go into a game 7? You haven't used your power play and it's null and void. So you have to have that in the back of your mind here, too, if you're background. You don't want to have a scenario where Caesar's able to close out this series and you weren't able to use the power play in any way, shape, or form.
Red 4 into the old red 5 from Jay as we go into background sandwiched in. Running the reds a while now. Here we go. Here comes Jay Caesar.
Caesar been doing a good job here with the number efficiency, utilizing those jabs to be down to a 5-card possession, actually a 6-card possession right now.
Yeah, running those reds for a while too, so you wonder when the next switch will be.
Right.
The background loads up here.
Might have something here. Might have a big play.
Plus, well, here we go. Boy.
Into the blue.
Here we go again, Seth.
What's the return?
What's the return? What's going to be the return?
It's like a game show. What's the return?
What's the return? And Jay Caesar, well, we don't know if he got that up. Whoa!
Wow.
That's a statement from Jay. Just a simple switch and background juiced on some yellows.
Interesting. Picked the one
I don't know about that.
There
That's just a simple one.
Background probably did not want. Now he'll bring it over to the green. Does Caesar have anything to run with? Remember, he was hit with the +4.
Yeah, that's the thing. You think with the +4, he's got a pretty wide open scope when he continues that.
Still has the possession lead as well by 2 cards to Caesar.
Here comes BC now, and he'll just play it cool. Here comes Jay now. Back and forth we go on that seesaw, and Caesar's still up.
If you're Caesar, you're playing the number efficiency because you got to think that at some point background's going to want to get back to the blue that he utilized the +4 with to get to.
Oh, see, That's the thing now. If your background right there, oh, hold the phone. They might be both running low on green.
Oh man.
Now it's a
Who
standoff.
blinks first?
Oh boy, here we go. This is
Oh, Cesar initiates to the blue? Oh, that could be risky. And then,
That's
yeah.
you gotta do
Oh
it. You gotta do
man.
it.
He
You gotta
initiated
grab
it.
That may
background.
not be for the win. That's just to save the game too. Let's see. Unless that is for the win, that'd be crazy. It is for the win.
It is for the win.
Oh wow, Caesar, no power play. We're going to Game 7.
You
Well-
gotta think they both wanted the blue. So it was such a risky move there by Cesar. He initiated the move over to blue that we saw
Man.
background did the +4 with to get over to. Oh man, that's such a tough scenario there. But at the same time,
Oh,
oh wow, look at that.
same exact finish on one. Wasn't it mirror play?
Pretty
It was a mirror
much,
play,
very
right?
close. And the thing of it is, though, at least he flushed out the power play. That's maybe
true.
the one saving grace here is they're going into a Game 7, no power plays available. That
Bare
may be the
knuckle.
one thing, but it's such a tough scenario there for Cesar because he knew that background wanted the
Man.
blue, but he needed the blue as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you throw the only way you can throw a blue +4. I mean, that's the only thing I think you could have done. Blue +4 into a blue
Exactly.
6.
Exactly.
Then you realize, because then think about it. At that point, background can't use the power play. That's the only thing. That's
Exactly.
the only thing.
Great point.
That's the only thing you could have done there, right? In a sense, but then you leave it up to the chance to a wild, and then it's the old return game.
Yep.
Oh, God.
Yep. The only way that he could have flushed the power play was exactly what he did with playing the regular wild. Because he plays the wild +4, that gives new cards to background, and he wouldn't have had to use the power play. It would have hit him right back with the +4 that he already had. So the power play would have still been, still available. The only card that he could have utilized to flush it out would have been that wild. So great job on that. And here we go. We figured it was gonna be. It's been so even. We're into that Game 7.
Nah, that was a good power play because, let's face it, Caesar's got the win right there. If you don't do that, his game, right? But
that was the right time to use the power play.
It's gotten to the point now. It's not even feeling if somebody has the answer. They're probably gonna have the answer with what we've had here.
No, that was a good power play.
It's been so back and forth.
I get
Yeah,
it.
that was a great utilization of the power play and a great job by Cesar to flush it out.
Yeah, that
it's
is
so
crazy,
even. It's been a who blinks first thing. Now we've got that scenario in Game 7 with no power play advantage. Wow.
Now it goes from a who blinks to who gets the run first.
Yeah. You
It was
can't
knuckles.
script this. This is gonna be a complete timing Game 7 between these two.
It's bloody knuckles now, right? There's not bare knuckle bloody. Who's going to get the last blood shot at the end? Because there's nothing really to separate these two. It's been back and forth seesaw pendulum game. That's what you want in these situations. The only thing Jay Caesar's going to have is at least he got the flush in the momentum, but background's got the momentum to win. It's stats of even, right? Pretty even. 5-5, 6-5, 11-9, 11-8. Nothing to separate these guys, Seth. It's been a hell of a game so far. I can't.
The
Can't say
only
louder than
difference,
that.
and I don't know how much of a difference it's really going to make, is he's going to have home field. So he'll have the potential one possession advantage here. That's like the only thing I see for an advantage right now going into Game 7. It may not be all that much of an advantage.
All right, I think we know the call here, but do it for prosperity. What a series this has been. Jay Caesar, it's the last game, man. I think I know where we're going. I don't even have to say anything. What do we got?
Yeah, interesting there. Cesar says as well. Division 2 promotees,
Yeah.
2-2 on taking him to Game 7, both M and now background.
Well, no, that was Goldie. That was not him.
Oh, that was gold. Okay.
I mean, I'm thinking it's full send, but I could be proven wrong. You got it open. What do we got? You gonna prove me wrong here?
It's 5, right?
I don't know, Jay.
Can you
What
imagine?
we got
Oh my
here?
gosh.
Someone would do that, though. Cap exists. He would.
Come on, do it. Do it.
Now let's see what he's gonna say here. I don't know. It's either that or the OG.
It's such a curious question. Flip a coin. Flip a double-sided coin.
It's gonna be a send. We just don't know which variety.
Oh well.
Full send.
Come on, you gotta do it. You gotta do it. It's
In
the
this
last
kind
game.
of a series, you have to.
Been a fantastic series, man. Definitely for the fans. Been a hell of a game. Here we go. Last game call. There's a oh boy, W in the chat. We'll see who Monkey plays for the winner take all game 7. Been a fantastic one. Here we go.
Yeah, whoever Monkey ends up playing here between Background and Cesar, he better get ready for a pretty lengthy series because these two have taken each other to the limits today.
Yeah, we'll go 9 next round too. We're going to go up, add a couple extra games, so that's very possible as we start to move on to the bigger rounds. Cesar plays it cool. All right, now the question becomes that the returns hold up, buckle up one more time because
how long do we wait,
man? How long do we wait for that return? That's going to be the key. Well, we got to switch. That's almost normal. It's taking a drinking game at that point. Switch normal. Yep, normal. Just normal. Just normal switching.
We're testing the waters,
right? Yep, testing it out as no. That's the only thing we haven't seen this series. Cesar plays it clean.
So we're gonna run in blue for a while here.
Never mind. Back to red. Does Cesar have anything in red they'll reserve? Yeah, he does. 1 up this time. Goes to disappear.
Yeah, I feel like right now we're throwing out a lot of heat checks. Whoa!
Okay. We saw this in that last game, though, where Background was stunted on the yellow, and we thought, oh no. Doesn't mean he's done yet. Could be a control one. We'll see. What's Jay got?
Does he initialize a color swap? Does he continue to run in the red? Might be.
He's loading up here pretty nicely.
Might be a little jab. Little classic.
Nope,
no.
Quick, classic Sanford. Another 6 though. Oh that. It's that quad 6s in a couple plays. This Background's out. Here comes Jay. Now he's got the 3 possession lead if he can play. Actually, excuse me, 5 possession lead if he can play. He will have 5 possession. No, not 3.
Yeah, remember the rapid pace we had back in games 5 and 6. Now we're backing it down just a little bit here. We're kind of considering our choices.
Yeah, series on the line. We've been at this for, well, I guess it's been 42 minutes because we had that extra minute delay.
With no power play available too, you can kind of kick back. You don't necessarily have to do any rapid play here. You can kind of analyze what your future play is going to be, and maybe even like a couple plays from now.
Oh, that's a heater.
That is
heater from Cesar.
Massive heater.
Yeah, no comeback, crazy. Just 1 short. But how about that? Cesar goes for a little heater to get the advantage early. He's going all in here, Seth.
Down to 6 though. Again, the return. What do we get here on that +2 stack?
That's a big return. We haven't seen a +6 return in a hot second. This is a big one. Let's see if Background just plays this one content on a test of green, or does he try to fire back and then it's a double neutralized return.
A lot of ammo played, so one would assume that Cesar wouldn't have a finish with 6 cards, and he'll answer back with a +4 and bring it over to the blue.
Yep, so now Background neutralizes the game right there. Cesar, hard work to do again, but he should be able to play anything he wants with the +4 of the freshies. Background, good stop though. You never know. It's game 7. You can never rule out maybe not a 6-card finish, but a possible run and check, and you never know how that can go.
Yeah, Cesar's been very efficient with the skips and the reverses. I know that it looked like maybe he had already utilized the +2s there with the stack, but he might have had something like that in reserve, so you have to cover all scenarios there, draw him back a little bit away.
Cesar runs it clean.
We've run a lot of blues this game so far.
Yeah, it's been a blue-heavy war, and that's what you see sometimes in those game 7s. There's certain metas that can go one way or the other. Once again, Jay, clean on the blues. Let's see if someone breaks. Do you want to break the switch as we go back to Brad from JT? Here comes Jay. When does he break off? Loading up here. Taking his time, taking every move possible. That CH tab. There's that.
Whoa. Whoa.
That is a heater. Here's a quad. Is this a finish from Jay? Jay Cesar for the win.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Good grief.
Is that an 8-bagger or no?
I'm counting right now. 1, 2, 3,
7.
4, 5, 6. No, that's an 8-bagger. No, you're right.
8-bagger.
That's an 8-bagger.
Wow.
Bagger to win it.
Good.
How about that? That was the longest
Lord.
chain for him, and in Game 7, he gets it done. Jay.
Lord have mercy.
Maybe not the upset in terms of seed, but maybe just a confidence booster for him. I got to go to Jay. I'm afraid to ask this question, man, but I think we got to do it, man. We got to do it. What was that +4 return? God, we got to know, because at this point, that's been the name of this storyline, is these damn returns. Oh, man, so we got to ask that first question. What was the return? Because
Yeah.
2 + 2s off the get-go is not no return. That's pretty special to start, for sure.
And my question to background is kind of what I was talking about there, just from what I've been observing and hearing this game. Down to 6 cards, background, you decide to utilize the +4 right then and there. We've seen how efficient Cesar has been on the reverse skip meta. Was that in the back of your mind there? Was that the call? Even though he was at just 6 cards, he wasn't quite there to a finish. Was that in the back of your mind to draw him back at that point in time, just in case that scenario was there? Was that something you had also zoned in on here in this series?
Yeah, we'll get that. Jay, I mean, okay, so that you got a +2 and a reverse, which was his last chain. That was part of it. Ironically, that was part of the chain. Yep. Wait a minute. Blue +2. Oh, he had. Did you wait a minute?
We ran in blue for so long, he was able to then get to the ammo cards.
Okay. So I didn't see no blue +2 from Jay. Jay, you didn't play no blue +2. Did you mean a different color? Unless I'm tripping. Oh, yellow +2. I'm sorry, my eyes are killing me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, that was where it's my fault. That, honest to God, man, that was such a crazy to sort through that. So okay, so a pretty monster hand then. So think about it. If you had 2 +2s off the start, then you throw another save tactic with potential green +2 sandwiched in and a yellow off the back end. You couldn't do much. I think background, unfortunately, just didn't have the hand there. I think
what happens potentially with the full send, right? You're going to end up getting those monster hands with the ammunition, and it worked out in the favor there of Cesar.
No
Background
one does.
Says he knew that Cesar possibly had a combo, was hoping that he'd later get it to yellow, and he didn't expect the 8-card combo. I mean, who does? who expects an 8-card combo? Like, man, sometimes those monster hands take place with the full send. There's just nothing you can do about it, but honestly, great game by both of these guys. Like, you know, I've been in situations where I've been in games like this where we go into a Game 7, things are so even, and, you know, while it's heartbreaking that you're not moving on to the round of 16, it's one of those games where you don't mind losing because you know that both gave it their all.
Oh yeah, I don't think background can really hold his head down low. He got to keep his chin up. He played exceptional today. He played everything he wanted to.
Watch out for him in T3. Watch out for him in T3. With what he had here for these last couple of games against Brad and Cesar, oh man.
I mean, Cesar, your thoughts on, I guess, just the ammo that series and looking ahead to, oh my goodness, Monkey Boy. That is match and a half. But, you know,
oh boy.
Oh boy. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, background's had a really, really difficult year to start with the schedule, man. He's been dealing with some players for sure. But I guess the thing I'll say here, Seth, I think it just shows you, man, as we continue to build a really, really strong notebook spot, we are talking about in terms of, you know, +2 meta, skip meta, reverse meta, defensive wild meta, return meta now, ammo meta, timing meta, you name the meta. We've had every meta in between. At this rate, it just comes down to which meta is the game going to throw at you, right? There's still going to be a case of a situation like you against Ashley. There'll be that rare case, but it's just how you adapt to the meta and how you adapt to the player, especially when Cesar has that classic, you know, 1-2 jab stab. I think background did everything he needed to do. I think Cesar did everything well. It came down to, as you said, a little bit who had the last laugh, and unfortunately, it just wasn't enough for background at the end in Game 7, and Cesar got the win. But for background, we'll see what he'll do. He'll probably be up there. And congratulations, I guess, to Gon now. That's confirmed. Gon wins rookie, as he's the last rookie remaining. Second time in a row we've seen that in the rest. But any final thoughts to Art? Then we get back to Seth. What a crazy series. That was Fantastic showing,
That
for sure.
that was one of those classic series. Both of them played really good on strategy base. It was just who was able to get to the punch first, and it was Caesar. Really good one. Really good job on him. But you can't take anything away from background character. Really great showing there.
We'll go to Cesar real quick. I got to ask the question, man. Your thoughts on playing your good old friend Monkey Boy over there? Seth, final thoughts from you, my man. What a crazy game. That was a class.
Yeah, was unbelievable game. Again, touched all the
All
points
right.
we talked about coming into this one. Don't make any mistakes. Control what you can control, and it really came down to stuff that was uncontrollable in terms of the return off the +2s and the +4s. Both put together an incredible series. Congratulations to Cesar moving on. You see here with the bracket, he's going to be moving on to that Sport Mode 16 here in the Spider region to face off against Monkey. Winner of that can move on to the round of 8. Should be a great matchup, but incredible series here in this one. We had the feeling, even back in Game 1, that this was more than likely going to go into a crucial Game 7. Indeed, it did. Great one for the fans. Great one to be able to call. Appreciate KT joining me here on commentary. Nam on the reffings. Sean with the commentary as well with our stats here. Caesar's moving on to face Monkey. Spider region wrapped up here in the Sport Mode 16. We'll have the entire round of 16 wrapped up here, more than likely by the end of this week, and start heading into that round of 8. We appreciate everybody joining us here this afternoon. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to tune in for future broadcasts coming out here as we enter into the round of 16 here for Automotive April in the 2025 MRE T2 tournament. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time.
This has been a presentation of MRE Division 1.